Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Winging It F1 podcast. The big news from Thursday is that Sebastian Vettel is going to Aston Martin, which is Racing Point, because Sergio Perez is going to leave the team at the end of the season. And here to discuss it all, I've got Freddie and Adam, as you all know by now. We've done about 20 of these podcasts. Guys, what are your initial thoughts on first, let's say, Perez leaving the team?
Not surprised. I think I wasn't surprised at Vettel joining. I guess it felt kind of a bit 50-50, maybe leaning towards Stroll staying in my mind. There wasn't kind of any major, oh no or wow, but it's kind of, I hope he does get to stay on the grid because I think he does add a lot to F1.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to Adam. Wasn't really surprised to see the news. It's been kind of the worst kept secret in the paddock since race 4, and this is race 9. So
yeah,
race 2. So I think the fact that the only reason it wasn't announced earlier was because Sergio Perez got ill, unfortunately. So I'm not really surprised by it. I think it's a good move for Vettel. If he can recapture sort of his form from every year apart from the last couple and maybe a bit of 2014 too. If he gets rid of that, doesn't use that form when he goes there, then it could be an absolutely stonking move for Aston Martin. It's a bit of a shame for Checo though.
So, but the thing is, yesterday, Racing Point team principal Otmar Safnauer said, both of our drivers are under contract and Vettel wasn't even considered. Yet, we found out this morning on Thursday that Vettel is indeed going to Aston Martin next year. So, Safnauer's a liar, is he?
Now, someone just needs to let him know.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's sticking to his PR line. He's good at that.
Yeah, and we've seen Christian Horner do it as well over the years.
Yeah, completely. This is just them saying, well, you've written all the stories anyway. We know you're just going to click go. So why are we just going to say stuff?
So Vettel to Aston Martin, is that the right move for him? I was a little disappointed Red Bull didn't pick him up. I think for Vettel it is the right move, but it would have been interesting to see Vettel and Max at Red Bull. But I think it is the right move.
Yeah, I don't think he would have done well at Red Bull. I think it would have been another chastening experience for him. I think it's the right move for him at this stage of his career. He's not just kind of sticking around for the sake of it, kind of a bit like Kimi seems to be doing. He kind of does have something to race for potentially. But yeah, I think it's the best move he could have made, really.
Yeah, he's moving up the grid to a team that's got better performance than his team currently. It's a logical move for that regard, and also it's a team that in the next few years is going to have much more impact. Going to have a bigger title sponsor in the form of Aston Martin, which is not just a title sponsor as it is for Red Bull. It's an actual works Aston Martin Formula One team. So he's not like he's going to a random midfield team that's just like Racing Point kind of arguably could have been. He's going to a fully fledged outfit and a team that's going to have the investment and the draw for talent going into 2022.
Yeah, the thing I'm looking forward to most next year is that we know Fernando Alonso, who's returning to Renault, really doesn't like Vettel, and Renault doesn't like Racing Point. So put the two together, and if they're near each other on the grid again like they are this year, it's going to be fireworks yet again with those two. For Vettel, is next year the biggest season of his career so far? Would you say?
It could be. Like, it kind of depends. I think if he bombs, then it's not going to be like a massive thing. But if he does well, it could be a big year for him. So I think he's probably got a lot more to gain from this. But equally, I don't, if he doesn't do well, then I don't think he'll kind of lose that much, I'd say. Maybe Freddie will think differently.
Well, because the contract detail, I mean, we've seen that Racing Point have been willing to drop a driver for a better driver despite having a contract in the space of today. So, which is what they've done with Perez. That they've paid out the release clause to him to get Vettel. If Vettel's not performing, they will drop him. So, it's a big year in that he's fighting for his career still, I think.
I think some of the probably, some of his Red Bull years where he made it big and then, kind of established himself as a top driver, and then some of the Ferrari years would, I'd say, have been bigger years, especially kind of 2018, but that's when he was challenging for the title with Ferrari. I think those, for me, would be bigger years.
He's going to a team where he's not going to have to dictate the strategy every race. He's not going to have to make the team sort of work, which is what he's been doing at Ferrari, particularly notably this season, and what Charles Leclerc has been trying to emulate. And that's why we've seen Charles Leclerc in kind of sticky spots that Vettel sometimes isn't in, such as Hungary, because he knows how to be a Formula One driver, does Vettel. He's got the years' experience there. And so he can go to a team who have done good strategy calls and they know how to operate in the midfield, which Ferrari don't. So he's going to a team that's got a bit more of a spring in its step at the moment. And that's going to just be, and now with Vettel coming in, then it seems to be a very positive mindset in that team, which you just don't have in Ferrari, which would just presumably will work so much better for a chipper driver like Vettel is, like Vettel can be.
Quick last, Adam.
I was just going to say, I do quite like the dynamic of Vettel at Ferrari this year, where he's kind of like they send him off like at the start of the race, and then he's just like could do anything. They're like, "Oh, Seb, we think you should do this," and he's just like, "Nah, probably won't." And I just quite like that. It's like
I kind of picture it
operates as an independent for the race, and then like comes back and I really like it.
I kind of picture it in testing. Vettel just comes and goes, right. Put this much fuel in the car. I'm going to go and do a race run. Just goes and does a race run, comes back in and looks at the telemetry and then changes the screws on and everything himself.
And quick last thoughts on Vettel before we quickly talk about Perez. Is Vettel an upgrade on Perez at Aston Martin, do you guys think? Freddie?
I think so. I do think so. His record of his whole F1 career is there. He went to a top team in Red Bull when he was young and made it work. Perez went to a top team in McLaren and for the most part couldn't live with Jenson Button. So I'd say, that's an awful comparison to make, but I'd say he's an upgrade on Perez, but Perez, he's so reliable, isn't he? He's such a reliable performer for that team, and he's been there 7 years. He knows that team inside out, so they know what they're losing. So they're taking a gamble on Vettel here, but they obviously think with
Vettel,
a gamble in losing Perez, not on Vettel, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Pick me up on that.
Adam?
I'm not really sure. I maybe think Vettel is maybe a bit overrated. I've never been like a massive Vettel fan, and I've kind of not watched
fandom shouldn't come into it, impartial journalist.
Yeah, Freddie, with the Schumacher poster behind you.
We're not talking about him.
And I've not watched his performances too closely this season because he's kind of been a bit more out of the main storyline. But I'd say maybe they're quite equally matched drivers, Vettel and Perez, and then it's kind of weighing up the kind of knowledge of Perez being in the team, as Freddie said, kind of knowing what they're getting and that he's there. He's, with every time you bring a new driver in, there's got to be some adaptation. And there wouldn't have been a Perez in stage versus kind of the kudos of having a 4-time world champion driving for you. I'd say kind of, it's kind of weighing up that a little bit, but I think he would have been an upgrade on Stroll. I don't think he's an upgrade on Perez.
Okay, that's interesting. I think for me, it's all about the car, really, because at Red Bull, the car suited Vettel down to the ground with its high downforce package. Aston Martin has a car which is to Vettel's liking. I think he'll shine. If it doesn't, though, then we could see the mistakes that he's been making over the last few years. And I think a lot of people think oh, he's going to Aston Martin, it might rejuvenate him back to his Red Bull years. But I'm not too sure because he will be back in the mid pack, I guess.
It
So
could
it'll
be.
be interesting.
I think the environment of the team is going to be a very interesting thing to look at because we've already mentioned his sort of role in Ferrari being he's not got really like a manager in Ferrari, whereas you look at Christian Horner in Red Bull when he was there, he was very much, and Rocky, his engineer at Red Bull, they were very much sort of in charge of Vettel basically, sorry. So he's going into Racing Point where I hope if he can get into a situation where he's in a good environment there, then I think he will perform better than he would do at Ferrari.
Yeah, okay. I think the last thing to say about Aston Martin, I have seen rumours already that Adrian Newey might jump ship to join the team for the 2022 season, with Vettel there. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. Just rumours so far. Let's talk about Perez, though. Where does this leave him? Haas, Alpha, IndyCar, somewhere else?
Hopefully still in Formula One, I think. It'd be a bit of a sore situation if Perez left Formula One. There have been links with him back to Sauber, which is his old team, to Alfa Romeo now, which would be a bit of a rude awakening for him, frankly, to drop that far down the grid from where he qualified third in Monza to, I don't know where the Giovinazzi and Raikkonen qualified. Raikkonen just got into Q2, and that was Raikkonen's, I think, Alfa's first Q2 appearance or something of the year. So that's like, it's not necessarily going to be, that is going to be clutching at straws to stay on the grid. But whichever team he goes to, he can bring his Carlos Slim Mexico money. And I think if he goes to somewhere like Haas, that could be utilised very well because they're tight on a budget. And that's really not helped them this past year with their tricky car. If they can use the money, then they can, I think, do a bit better with Haas if he can go there.
Adam, what did you predict him again a few months ago? I can't remember. Was it Haas?
Yeah.
You still stand by that?
Yeah, I think as Freddie said, he'd improve a lot of teams on the grid, and I think Haas would probably benefit a lot from that. So, yeah, I'd still stand by that, and I think him and Magnussen would be a tasty driver pairing. I guess the other option could be Red Bull. I don't personally agree that would be a good move.
I'd love to see that.
But if they do want to go outside of the driver academy and the junior driver program, he'd be probably the best or one of the best drivers they could pick up in that. So I think that, if I was his agent, I'd certainly be kind of inquiring, pushing there.
He's got a very good agent manager. It's a guy called Julian Jacobi. He used to be Ayrton Senna's manager.
Well, good pedigree there.
Yeah,
but yeah. I think I still think Haas is the most likely and best fit. IndyCar's an interesting one though. Maybe if you talk more about that.
Yeah, I thought IndyCar in the Silly Season podcast we did, although I thought he would stay with Racing Point. Now he hasn't.
Yeah.
IndyCar is possible, but I will be very, very surprised if he isn't on the grid, purely because he's a very reliable, consistent driver. He's shown that over his whole career, and he brings in the money as well. If he isn't on the grid, I'll be shocked, quite frankly, and it'll be devastating for F1. Red Bull, having him at Red Bull would be really exciting, I think. But yeah, I think Haas or Alpha is probably the most likely destinations. So I think that's our very quick podcast for once then.
Just one more thing. I'll lengthen it a bit more, but just one more thing, kind of, when we spoke before on in our Silly Season podcast, I think then we kind of, when we were weighing up Stroll or Perez, and we said kind of this decision will give a massive indication of why Lawrence Stroll has invested so much and bought
a car company.
And got the Aston Martin link in there too. And it's not kind of for him to become an F1 tycoon. Primarily, it looks to be to get his son into a race-winning car and hopefully fighting for championships.
That's his son who's fourth in the championship now.
Yeah, but I just think that's kind of that shows that was the main kind of drive for him doing it, rather than getting to this stage, but actually, just thinking I want to have, be ruthless and have a successful F1 team at all costs, I think.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think I think that's it then. Yeah, a quick 20-minute podcast or so from us. We will be back on Sunday to review the Tuscany, whatever, Grand Prix, 1000th Ferrari, all that stuff. Freddie knows what it's called. On Sunday. So we'll see you for that, and goodbye.
Bye.